Inside the castle of friendship, the elements of harmony were sitting down on their thrones in the QD map room while Twilight was ready to discuss something with them. Oh boy, it's finally time. Every pony, I am officially happy to announce that this year's Nightmare Night has finally begun, said Twilight as she was jumping off of her throne with excitement. I can't wait for another Tootin' Nightmare Night. This will be an amazing night. Maybe I can even sell some food, said Applejack, who was clearly excited as well. It really is going to, darling. Rarity replied to Applejack, in approval. I just hope no pony scares me, said Fluttershy, who was clearly nervous. Hey Fluttershy, said Rainbow Dash in a creepy tone. You? Yes Rainbow Dash, replied a very nervous Fluttershy. Boo, said Rainbow Dash, as she scared Fluttershy. Rainbow Dash. P. Please don't do that to me, said Fluttershy as she was leaning down in her throne out of fear. He. Sorry Fluttershy, replied Rainbow Dash. Where is Pinkie Pie? Girls, do you have a clue to where she is? Said a confused Twilight as she looked left and right. As soon as Twilight finished saying that, Pinkie Pie arrived in the room from the doors, holding 2 plates of freshly baked cookies in both of her hooves as she walked bipedally to the QD map before setting the plates down and hopping over to her throne. I'm back, K. Teehee. Sorry if I took long, girls. I was busy making some Nightmare Night cookies for all of you, said a happy and excited Pinkie Pie. Pinkie Pie. These cookies. They're awesome. Gorgeous. And amazing, sugar cube. Aw. Girls. That means so much to me, said a emotional Pinkie Pie, as she teared up in happiness. The 6 friends began eating the cookies together as they continued to sit down in their thrones. Once they were done, Twilight spoke up. All right girls. I think we're all ready to go to the Nightmare Night Festival now, said Twilight excitedly. The others were very excited as they followed Twilight outside the castle to the Nightmare Night Festival in the center of Ponyville. They were all excited in their own ways, with Rainbow Dash, Twilight, and Pinkie Pie showing it the most in their excited expressions. After about 2 minutes, they finally arrived in the center of Ponyville. They started to notice the decorations that were put up for Nightmare Night, and tons of ponies there as well. Here we are, girls. Let's make this Nightmare Night be amazing as usual, Twilight said to the others. But of course, darling. I'm sure it will be an amazing night to behold, just like all the other Nightmare Nights we had, said Rarity in a happy tone. It sure will, Sugar Cube, replied Applejack as well. We always have an amazing Nightmare Night experience, Twilight. What are you talking about, silly? Replied Pinkie Pie as well. Even though I get scared a lot of it, I'm going to have to agree with Rarity, Applejack, and Pinkie Pie, replied Fluttershy as well, while still slightly nervous. I know, girls, I was just saying for this one to be amazing just like all the other ones, said Twilight in response to her friends' replies. Are you all right, Rainbow Dash? You didn't reply alongside us, darling. Is something wrong, dear? Said Rarity. Oh, yeah. I'm all right, Rarity. I'm just deep in thought. But anyways, girls, I need to go to the weather factory in Cloudadale for something regarding Nightmare Night, like usual, replied Rainbow Dash. Are you going to be all right, Sugar Cube? Said Applejack to Rainbow Dash. Yeah, are you going to be okay, Rainbow Dash? Said Twilight to Rainbow Dash as well. Yeah. I'm going to be okay, girls, don't worry. You remember I do this every nightmare night after all. Hee hee. Anyways, catch ya girls later. Replied Rainbow Dash as she flew off towards Cloudsdale after talking. She sure is weird during nightmare night, said Twilight as she watched Rainbow Dash flying in the distance. You're telling me, Sugar Cube? Replied Applejack, as she watched Rainbow Dash flying as well. Who's ready to start apple bobbing? Said a excited Pinkie Pie. You betcha I am, Sugar Cube. Replied Applejack immediately with a tone of excitement. As soon as Rainbow Dash arrived at the factory located inside the upper area of the weather factory, she could only help but ponder about everything. What am I going to do if they find out one day? Said Rainbow Dash to herself. She walked past the guards who, upon seeing her, knew it was their manager and saluted her as she walked past them to the entrance room. She continued walking, until reaching the workroom. When she was in the workroom, she grabbed her hung lab coat to put it on before noticing Dr. Atmosphere walking around, clearly stressed about something. What's wrong, Atmosphere? Said Rainbow Dash. You're finally here, Rainbow Dash. Listen. We don't have any more leftover Nightmare Night decorations for this year's Nightmare Night in the factory. We might have to pass out on Nightmare Night in the factory for this year, Rainbow Dash. Said a worried Dr. Atmosphere as he began running around panicking, causing Rainbow Dash to sigh in annoyance. It's going to be one of those nights again, isn't it? Replied Rainbow Dash in annoyance as she proceeds to face Hoof. What are we going to do? We can't miss out on celebrating the best holiday this year in the factory. We simply cannot, Rainbow Dash. Responded Dr. Atmosphere, who was still worried. The two began to walk into the workroom on the metal catwalk on the top of the room, as the workers noticed them. Look, I'll go buy some more decorations and materials, okay? Replied Rainbow Dash, starting to get agitated with Dr. Atmosphere. Thanks, Celestia. You hear that, every pony? We will be able to celebrate Nightmare Night again in the factory, all thanks to our wonderful manager, Rainbow Dash. Give it all up for her. Said Dr. Atmosphere, as most of the worker Pegasi began chanting out Rainbow Dash's name in praise. Geez. Thanks, Atmosphere. Said a annoyed Rainbow Dash as she rolled her eyes. Rainbow Dash was about to leave the workroom to go back to the entrance room to exit the factory. Before she left, Glaze walked by behind her in the room and spoke to her. Stressful night like usual, eh? Welcome to the club. Said Glaze. Yep. Ugh. Tell me about it. Replied Rainbow Dash, as she took off her lab coat and hung it up before exiting the factory. Back in Ponyville, every pony was having the time of their life celebrating this year's Nightmare Night Festival. Applejack recently finished setting up shop for some delicious caramel apples with Granny Smith, Big Macintosh, and Apple Bloom next to the stall as well. Twilight was next to Princess Luna and Pinkie Pie sitting down in the stage area watching the show on the stage going on alongside the other ponies watching it as well. Fluttershy was hosting a free service to get your picture taken in the festival. Last but least, Rarity was hosting a service for colts and fillies to be able to get their muzzle painted from a selection of designs. Yeehaw! This shop is doing as well as a golden Timberwolf. I'll be able to use the bits to help with the support for Sweet Apple Acres. Said Applejack enthusiastically, as she was counting how much bits she had earned from her caramel apple stall. Mine is doing good as well, darling. All the little ones love getting their muzzle painted for the holiday. Not to mention, it's cheap, dear. Replied Rarity, whose stall was situated right next to Applejack's and Fluttershy's. Wait a second, take that back, Sugar Cube. You're darn tootin' that my business is cheaper. Responded Applejack, who was clearly in a little fight with Rarity. You, cheap, darling. Don't make me laugh, dear. replied Rarity. Oh, that's it, Sugar Cube, responded Applejack, as the two were close to each other with expressions of anger. Girls. Please don't fight. Please, said Fluttershy, addressing the fight that had just transpired. Granny Smith, Big Macintosh, and Apple Bloom could only help but stare at what was going on. Before everything got worse, Applejack and Rarity did something else instead. Oh, you. I could never get mad at a best friend of mine, dear, replied Rarity, as she proceeded to laugh. Hee hee, same Sugar Cube. After all, I'm toot and down to earth like a country pony, responded Applejack, as she proceeded to laugh alongside Rarity. Granny Smith, Big Macintosh, and Apple Bloom shrugged at each other, as they began to laugh as well at what had just happened. Meanwhile, at the stage, Twilight Sparkle, Pinkie Pie, and Princess Luna were still watching the show going on, featuring a light blue wireframe nightmare moon that was being emitted from a projector on the stage. The night will last forever. Mew ah ha 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 ha, said the wireframe nightmare moon. This is still amazing years later, said Twilight, who was in awe at the wireframe nightmare moon. She looks so funny. Ha ha ha, said Pinkie Pie, as she proceeded to laugh. As the two were watching the show, Luna couldn't help but feel a sadness inside of her from when she was evil, like the wireframe projection of her evil form. Eventually, she ended up speaking up to Twilight and Pinkie Pie. Wait, no. Forgive our royal Canterlot voice. I still sometimes wonder if I could have prevented myself from snapping at my big sister that fateful night many years ago, said Luna, who was clearly starting to tear up. Luna, it wasn't your fault. Please don't cry, Luna. We all make mistakes. I understand that you must feel bad from the old memory of when you turned into Nightmare Moon long ago. But you have nothing to be sad about. That was in the past. You know your big sister Celestia loves you to death, right? Replied Twilight. By now, the other ponies sitting down near the stage had started turning around to look at what's going on. Why, you're right, Twilight. That was lots of years ago after all. My big sister has forgiven me ever since you and your best friends helped turn me back to normal that one night in me and my big sister's old castle, which has been in ruins for a long time in Everfree Forest, responded Luna, as she started to feel better, regaining her composure. I know how much she loves you, Luna. She loves you to pieces, your big sister. I know she would be devastated if she ended up losing you. Same for you if you ended up losing her, replied Twilight. I do not want to think about that, responded Luna, with sadness in her voice. That was my bad for saying that, Luna. I should have known it would only make you feel more sad, replied Twilight, as she felt bad for making Luna sad again. Luna, why don't you try my very own happiness cupcake? It's certified to make you feel better. It's on the house, said Pinkie Pie, as she pulled out a cupcake out of nowhere. I guess it can't hurt to try, replied Luna, as she took the cupcake Pinkie Pie offered to her. As soon as Luna ate the cupcake, she suddenly started feeling happier again. She was confused, so she decided to ask Pinkie Pie. Wow, it actually worked very well. Pinkie Pie, we wish. I wish to know of how a cupcake is able to make a pony happier, said a confused Luna. Simple. I just added a pinch of artificial happiness, and all things that make you just want to smile in life. Teehee, replied Pinkie Pie in happiness. As the three of them laughed, Rainbow Dash arrived back in Ponyville, landing on the ground. The three turned around to see Rainbow Dash. Oh hey, Rainbow Dash. I thought you were at the weather factory. said Twilight, in confusion. I still am working there right now. I just need to find some Nightmare Night decorations I can buy to bring there. They really messed up with their decoration supplies this year, said Rainbow Dash. Nightmare Night decorations. I think Mayor Mare has some leftover ones that she will be willing to give to you to bring to the Weather Factory. After all, every pony deserves to celebrate this amazing holiday, replied Twilight. Thanks Chui. You're the best. Also hey Luna, said Rainbow Dash, before flying off to find where Mayor Mare is in the festival. No problem Rainbow Dash, replied Twilight, as she watched Rainbow Dash fly off. She certainly is strange, said Luna, before proceeding to laugh. You aren't wrong about that, Luna, even though she is one of my best friends, said Twilight, before proceeding to laugh as well. After flying for a good 3 minutes, Rainbow Dash found Mayor Mare inside the decorated town hall with the helpers for the festival. She walked up to her before talking with her. Hey Mayor Mare, do you happen to have any leftover Nightmare Night decorations? Cloudsdale ran out of their decorations for this year's Nightmare Night, said Rainbow Dash, hoping that she will give her some spare decorations. Why yes I do. I happen to have some leftover decorations that me and the helpers for the festival thought they were too flashy or like they didn't suit the theme right. You can have them for free though to help Cloudsdale celebrate Nightmare Night too. No pony deserves to be left out after all, replied Mayor Mare. Thank you so much Mayor Mare, responded Rainbow Dash, as she picked up the box containing the decorations and began to fly back to the factory with it. You're very welcome Rainbow Dash, replied Mayor Mare. Once Rainbow Dash got back to the factory, she flew inside while still holding the box and flew past the guards into the workroom's metal catwalk. Dr. Atmosphere noticed her and turned around on the catwalk to speak to her. About bloody time you came back, Rainbow Dash, said Dr. Atmosphere, who clearly was impatient with her. Oh give me a break Atmosphere. I didn't take that long, replied Rainbow Dash, who became agitated at Dr. Atmosphere. Rainbow Dash flew to the ground level of the workroom and placed the box down on the steel floor. She then went back to pick up her lab coat and put it back on. Once she had her lab coat on again, she went back to the box before opening the lids and taking out the decorations. Inside the box, there was hangable banners, cardboard stand-ups, and red LED lights. Oh yeah. Now we're talking, said Rainbow Dash, in happiness as she was looking at the various decorations. Which ones should we decide to place? Replied Dr. Atmosphere, curiously. Now you got me thinking too, Atmosphere, responded Rainbow Dash, as she thought deeply. Actually, we can decide that later. For now, we have to do our daily routine involving the failures. You know, those utterly useless Pegasi, replied Dr. Atmosphere. Oh. Right. He. This will be amusing, responded Rainbow Dash, with a sadistic tone to her voice as Dr. Atmosphere obtained the same tone for his voice. The two of them walked past the workroom onto the metal catwalk in a long corridor filled with prison cages containing failures that they had captured who failed the Cloudsdale entrance exam. Rainbow Dash got up to the controls for one of the giant claw cranes to pick up a cage to bring a failure into the Pegasus device room for later. Rainbow Dash and Dr. Atmosphere controlled the levers for two of them and controlled the claw to pick up two cages of failures. The claws raised to the top of the railing which directs into the Pegasus device room. Failures. They never get boring after a while, said Dr. Atmosphere, facing Rainbow Dash. My thoughts exactly. I love their cries for help honestly. He. Anyways, we have a task at hoof. Let's go back in the workroom, replied Rainbow Dash, as the two walked back into the workroom. As soon as the two of them got back to the workroom, Rainbow Dash went back to the box of decorations before thinking, deep in thought. So, now it comes to the decision of what decoration should be the one we choose to use, said Rainbow Dash. We could use the hangable banners with a nice graphical design of the factory on it and have it hang from the walls. Or, we could use the hangable red LED lights that remind me of the same kind of lights ponies typically use on their houses for hearths warming. Or, last but least, we could use cardboard cutouts of me. After all, I am damn fabulous. Yeah. You sure are, said Dr. Atmosphere, as he rolled his eyes at Rainbow Dash's choice. Oh come on. Even you have to admit that I'm pretty fabulous, replied Rainbow Dash. Fine. I do admit that you know how to be rather fabulous, responded Dr. Atmosphere, as he finally gave in. We could just have a mix of all three decorations. Glaze. Where'd you come from? Said Rainbow Dash, out of shock. I'm pretty sure she was in the workroom here with us, replied Dr. Atmosphere. Oh right, I forgot honestly, said Rainbow Dash. Anyways, what's our choice going to be about what decorations to use?